Good afternoon, I can say, because I'm now on the East Coast, and for most of you it is afternoon. For some of you it's still good morning. Happy Friday, and welcome to Straight Talk on Social Media. This is Ian Desher, Digital Marketing Specialist from Pivot Group, talking to you. And today we're going to be looking at Twitter's Vine service, their new video service, and the new Instagram video, which has just come out in the last few weeks here, and sort of looking at what's different between the two of them and how you might want to use them and things like that. So we'll get into that in just a few minutes. Before we do, let me remind you that if you have any questions, you can use the control panel for your GoToWebinar screen and enter questions in there. And if not, don't worry about it, just enjoy. But I would be happy to take questions and respond to them either as we go or at the end. Anyway, before we get into the focus topic for today, let's go ahead and get into the news from the last 4 weeks or so. First of all, looking at some of the source code behind Facebook and some of the some of the things in their API, some developers have noticed that it looks like Facebook is maybe developing an RSS feed, and if they did, it would be an RSS feed that would be rivaling the likes of Google's popular reader, which they've actually done away with recently, but could be an important move for Facebook in terms of trying to be a place where people continue to go more and more, and now would be to sort of get the content that they want to get aggregated from throughout the internet. So we'll follow this and see if there's any news that comes up, if maybe the code that is being seen actually does turn out to be RSS code for Facebook, or maybe it's just something that maybe their guess is not right. Another piece of news here: a new study came out from a company called Syncaps, and it was about why people become fans of brands on Facebook, why people click the like button in the first place. And I've looked at some research that was done around this about 2 or 3 years ago by a company called Exact Target. But this new study shifts things just a little bit in terms of what they found, although not in a crazy way. This graph is a little bit small, so I'm going to make it bigger here in my next slide. First of all, you can see that 49% of people said that one of the reasons that they like companies on Facebook is to support the brand they like. Now, this was definitely on the Exact Target study from a couple of years ago, but it wasn't quite so high. So it is interesting to see that one of the main reasons people are going to like you, and maybe the most prominent reason, is just that they like you, and you're going to, your supporters are really going to be the ones who are liking you on Facebook. And so that also says that your Facebook fans are probably people you can call on to support you and be helpful to you, people you can do some crowdsourcing with and things like that. Not surprisingly, 42% to get a coupon or a discount. So those are the people who are liking a brand in hopes that they will get something in return. Receiving regular updates from brands they like, things like that, which is similar to the first reason, supporting a brand they like. Participating in contests, which again I think sort of relates to getting a coupon or discount. They're hoping to get something out of it. Sharing good experiences, sharing interest in lifestyle, something like that. Very few people, in fact, the smallest percentage is because somebody recommended that brand to me, which is interesting. Normally, word of mouth is a very popular and very powerful way that people hear about things. But it turns out that when it comes to Facebook pages, it's not as prominent as you might guess. Another study that came out recently is showing that that email is still getting better return on investment overall than social media. So even though email marketing is still sort of considered one of the, I would say email marketing is sort of considered, almost in the way that junk mail is, right? Everyone hates getting emails in their inbox unless it's really from a company that you know and trust and want to hear from. But it turns out that still email marketing is giving a stronger sort of bang for the buck in terms of return on investment than Facebook ads, Twitter ads, things like that. And then you see also the per-click ads, things like Google, even doing better than email and organic search, way up at the top, way off the graph. I just thought it was interesting. This really makes me think that when it comes to direct ROI, social media may not be the most promising thing out there. It still sounds to me like social media, what it's best for is really creating relationships and fostering loyalty among your customers. And that I think is going to be what we see social media being important for in the long run. Somebody just asked if they could have a printout of the webinar. Absolutely. The webinar slides are always available on the Pivot Facebook page, right after the webinar is over. So I will have those up within about 15 minutes after the webinar, and you can grab them from there. And now just moving into the focus topic. So Straight Talk on Vine and Instagram video. So Vine came out a few months back, and it is Twitter's Twitter's service for creating these short little videos, and then Instagram, the popular photo modifying service, I guess is one way to call it. Just came out with video within the last couple of weeks here. So I wanted to sort of look at both of these services, compare them, see how they're different, see how they're the same, and talk about how you might start to think about using them for your business specifically. So first of all, just looking at some of the differences, this is a helpful little table here is from TechCrunch, and I thought that it would be a useful thing. It's a helpful side-by-side comparison of the two services. I'm going to blow it up here and show you just a few of the differences that I think are most important and sort of most telling. So let me go ahead and go through those. First of all, one of the big differences is in the length of video that these two services offer. So Instagram is letting you do 15-second videos, and Vine is letting you do 6-second videos. So that is, I think, an important difference. Vine is, or Instagram is basically 2.5 times as long as what Vine is offering. Both of them, Vine sort of sticking true to Instagram. I'm sorry, to Twitter, which owns it. Twitter is sort of the king of making people do things briefly. Every tweet has to be 140 characters or fewer. And so with Vine, you only get 6 seconds, and Instagram letting you go a little longer at 15 seconds. So I thought that was an interesting distinction there. It's actually very similar. Instagram, now owned by Facebook, it's very similar to the difference in post length that we used to have. Facebook used to have about 420 character post length. So this difference in length on these two services, Instagram and Vine, is pretty similar to the ratio that it used to be for Facebook and Twitter. The next big thing that I note here are the filters. Filters are the thing that made Instagram so popular. So you can take a picture with Instagram and you can apply a certain filter to it that makes it sort of look artistic in different ways and gives it sort of a cool feel. And so with their video product, they have added in some filters as well with that, so that you can do sort of the same thing but with your videos. That's not something that Vine has. So it's a way that Instagram is sort of staying true to what it has been before. And I'll talk about in a few minutes sort of what that means in terms of how you might use Instagram versus how you might use Vine. Another big one, your cover frame. So similar to on YouTube, where you are able to select a particular frame of your video to be the video thumbnail, Instagram's video product is letting you pick a particular cover frame for your video, so that when people see it on Instagram or when you're posting it other places, you can have just the frame you want it to. And Vine has not yet done something like that. So those are the ones that I see sort of as the big differences between Vine and Instagram. They are pretty comparable in many other ways. But I do want to talk about some strengths of Vine and some strengths of Instagram video. that again are going to give you sort of some ideas about some of the differences behind them and start to get into how they're used. So first of all, I think a strength of Vine is that it is shorter. It gives you 6 seconds, which means you really have to think about how you're going to make an impact in just 6 seconds. I saw a website the other day that I believe it's called 15-second films. And basically what it is just what it sounds like. It's little mini movies that tell a quick little story or paint a little scene or give some sort of little suggestion of something fun and do it all in 15 seconds. Or maybe it's, no, I'm sorry, it's 5-second films. That's what it is. It's even shorter than Vine, actually. 5-second films is the website. And it's a really fun, sort of experience. And when you're limited to 6 seconds as you are on Vine, you're really forced to be very creative. And so I think that that's something where you'll see fans be sort of more impressed with what you're able to do on Vine because it does allow you such a short length of time. One of the strengths of Instagram, though, I think, is that it's longer. There is just more you can fit in 15 seconds. And so if you're trying to do some sort of announcement, or if you do have some longer content that you need, 15 seconds of video still doesn't sound like a lot, but compared to 6 seconds, really is roomy. I mean, 15 seconds is a half of a 30-second commercial spot, right? So it really is, a commercial length almost, and we've all seen 15-second commercials that are effective. And so Instagram lets you do things like that. So in different ways, the length of each, for Vine and for Instagram, I think is a strength of each of those two services. With Vine, you already have a sizable user base built in. Vine has become pretty popular and is amassing this big user base of people who are using Vine specifically, and not just people who have Twitter, but people who are actually using Vine. And so you do have that with Vine, and it's something that has grown up in just a few short months that it's been around. And so that is a benefit of what Vine is. You've already got this user base there. And with Instagram, it taps into a large user base. So anybody who has Instagram now also has Instagram video. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're using it, but it does mean that all of those Instagram users, and there are far more Instagram users than there are Vine users, all those Instagram users now have video. Now, I have read an article that said that some people feel like the video portion of Instagram is just sort of, taking away space and energy from the photography part of Instagram. But that said, it's there for everyone to use if they have Instagram, and will be on, all future releases of Instagram. So that's something where you already sort of have this built-in base of users who are already using the product overall, and so this is now a new feature that's going with that product. A strength for Vine is that it is its own brand, and so because of that, it is it has name recognition. People know what Vine is when you talk about Vine, and people sort of instantly know that it's that service that allows these 6-second videos. Yes, they probably know that it's connected to Twitter, but they also just think of it as its own thing. So you might have people who are really into Vine and not necessarily into Twitter in the same way. With Instagram, the sort of flip side of that strength is that it's already part of a known brand. So Instagram video is, again, it's already added into the product. It's already a brand that has proven itself. Instagram, I think, very sort of markedly did not decide to call its video product something new. It did not decide to start a new brand with Instagram video. It's just made it part of its existing service. They very well could have said, now there is, Moxie from Instagram or whatever it was going to be, but they didn't do that. So they are counting on the fact that having their own brand means that, or a known brand that people are already familiar with, is going to, help it along more than it would if they created a new brand. So again, both of those, I think, are strengths in different ways. With Vine, you have the benefit of, it is still fairly early days with Vine, and so you still have the ability to be an early adopter, and you have a lot of people. All the people who are on Vine right now, I would say, are still early adopters. It still is a fairly new service, and so there's still that sort of buzz and excitement around it. And with Instagram video, you have this ability to have multiple users. So with your Instagram account, you have the ability to have many people using your account, and so what that means is that I can share my Instagram account with other people, and they can be uploading videos at the same time I am. And so again, different strengths there in similar ways. Now, here's an important thing that I think is almost fundamental to the differences between Vine and Instagram. First of all, with Vine, the whole idea behind them, it is a 6-second video, but it also loops. It's also a video that repeats itself. And so the sort of vibe behind Vine is that it's sort of quirky, right? People are making these little 6-second videos that sit there and loop over and over, almost like an animated GIF in some ways. And that's what it is. It just becomes this fun little thing, and people do these silly little things in 6 seconds that just repeat themselves. With Instagram, you have the filters, right? And so Instagram video, it's longer, it does not loop, and so I think what we're going to see is it being sort of a more arty kind of thing. In the same way that Instagram photo filters have allowed people to take their pictures and really turn them into some nice things. I think that with Instagram video, we're going to see almost miniature art films or something like that, where people are using filters to good effect to put a really sort of professional shine on their short videos. And so that is another sort of difference where you can start to see Vine and Instagram separating not only in terms of their functionality, but in terms of sort of the message that they are giving off, or the way that they are hoping that people will use these two different services. And so I think that's a really important point here is Vine is sort of meant for these silly looping videos, and Instagram is offering these filters that are making video look cool in some way, and is allowing for a longer message. And so with all of these sort of differences in mind, I do want to offer some takeaways and some ideas for how you might use these services. And so let me just leave you with a handful of these as we close. First of all, consider your user base and or your own expertise. So, is your user base primarily on Twitter? Do you have a lot of Twitter users who are your customers? If so, Vine is going to be maybe something that is a direction you want to go. Also, I mean, what sort of business are you? Are you a museum of some kind? Maybe quirky and looping is not the right feel for you. Maybe something sort of more artistic, with like Instagram video, is going to be more sort of your feel. Maybe you have lots of users who use Instagram all the time, or who are always sharing their Instagram pictures on Facebook. It's always good, I think, to sort of go where the energy is in terms of your customers. And so if you know that they are sort of in one place or the other, one place more than another, then I think it's always helpful to sort of put your energy in that direction. Not to say that you can't do both. I think you could do both, and you could do them both very well. But I just think it's helpful to think about. And like I said, sort of get to know the vibe of each service. So go on to Vine and take a look at some of the videos that people are making and posting. And then go to Instagram video, and Instagram video is, again, just in its early weeks here, but still you'll be able to find what people are doing in terms of video on Instagram, and sort of get a feel for how those differ, and what is the sort of personality of each service. Because what these are not, these are not identical services. This is not, Nike versus Reebok here, right? Or even a better example might be, like Toyota versus Honda, right? With Nike and Reebok, you have a sort of much stronger brand feel. This is not something where it's a generic sort of choice between A or B, and you're really comparing two very similar things. Vine and Instagram video really are are pretty different in terms of sort of the overall feel that they're going for with these services. And so get to know what that feel is, and to make sure that you have familiarized yourself with it before you start using it. And remember that Vine is Twitter, but it isn't really. And Instagram video is sort of Facebook, but it isn't really. So, using Vine does not necessarily mean that that you have to use Twitter, or that Twitter is sort of going to be the main thrust of your social media. It also doesn't mean that you're going to get the same impact on Vine that you might have using Twitter. And similar with Instagram video. Yes, Instagram is owned by Facebook, but using Instagram video does not mean that you necessarily are tying it into your Facebook page. It doesn't mean that you're going to get the same response from your Instagram video that you get from your Facebook page. I think a common question out there is, well, I know Vine is owned by Twitter and Instagram is owned by Facebook, so how does that play into things? And I think the answer is not a whole lot. So just bear that in mind as you start to use these services. Just thinking about some of the ideas now for how you start to use it. First of all, Vine is, I think, a great way to show some really great creativity. The 6-second format forces you, as I said before, to really think carefully about how you're going to use that time and how you're going to make something really sort of pop when you have a limited time to do so. And can you do something fun with the looping? The fact that they are videos that loop, that actually, yes, it in 60 seconds it means, or I'm sorry, in 6 seconds it means one thing, but when it starts repeating over and over, maybe it even gets funnier somehow, even though it's repeating the same thing. There are all sorts of ways, I think, to be creative with this, and depending on what kind of company you have, it could be really useful to you to be able to sort of show off some personality by making some of these Vine videos. And similarly, Instagram video has these great tools for making things visually interesting. Their filters, Instagram's filters, are what made the service famous in the first place, and they have been, I think, very wise to continue with filters for their video service. And so, using those, again, depending on what sort of business you have, there could be all different kinds of ways that you might use those filters to make things look sort of more elegant or more artsy or sort of heroic in some ways. And so think about that also when it comes to Instagram. Think about how their filters are going to help you create things that really end up with a beautiful product for you. They are both, I think, great ways to give quick updates on things that are going on. Maybe you don't do a big press release or some sort of big formal announcement about something. Maybe you push something fun out through Instagram video or Vine to let people know about something that's going on. Or maybe, if nothing else, you include that among your mix of ways to get the word out about whether it's a new product, new service, new promotion, whatever it might be. I think these are going to be really handy ways for businesses to the term shout out is a common one that has come into our common vocabulary. And so I think Instagram video and Vine are sort of the ultimate sort of shout out when it comes to video online. And so think about that as well. Use the ability to share across platforms that both of these services offer. Vine just this past week added to the ways that you can share videos using Vine. I think before it had been limited to just a couple of services, but now you can share to more services. Instagram video launched with the ability to share to many services. So make sure you're using that so that when you make these videos, you're putting them out there and getting the word out about them, so that people can take a look at them and make sure that they see them. I think these are great tools that they've built into these services, the ability to share on your other social media sites. So by all means, use them. And then, as we've already started to see last time in June's webinar, I talked about the Dunkin' Donuts Vine campaign. Let your customers join in, do some video contests, and make sure people are using a common hashtag. That's the way to sort of run a contest, make by because people are all going to be using their own accounts, right? So the way to sort of unify those accounts into one contest is by having everybody use the same hashtag for the contest. And you can do contests on Vine or Instagram video, and both of those services allow that sort of thing. And so what you can do is you can say, we are holding a contest to see who can create the best video on Vine using, showing yourself using one of our products, and you just use the hashtag, our company name, and we'll then decide who gets to be the winner. And then you can take all of those different videos and you can, collect them all in one place to show off so that people can see what's going on in terms of the contest. I believe I read earlier this week that Instagram video has just allowed or just introduced the ability to embed the video on your own website and things like that. So that's possible as well. So I think it could be a really fun way to, especially if, again, going back to takeaway number one, if you have a user base that is actually really get into these things, I think that a contest across one of these services could be a really useful and valuable tool. So that's what I have today for today's webinar. Next time, Friday, August 9th at 11 o'clock Pacific time, will be our next Straight Talk on Social Media webinar. Focus topic is still to be determined at this point, though I hope to have that figured out pretty soon here. Dave Neustraten's next Straight Talk on Telco Marketing webinar for our telecommunications clients will be Wednesday the 31st at 11 o'clock Pacific time. And so we will look forward to seeing you on one of those. Thank you so much for your time today. Have a wonderful weekend. Remember to keep your media social and your talk straight.